So in this video, I want to talk about master data management. It's a pretty important concept in healthcare IT where, let's say you have multiple records, especially patient records. How do you know you don't have duplicates in your system? And how do you merge these records so that you have a single patient? So you might have two records like this, Sidharth Ramesh and Sidharth Ramesh. Are these the same patients or not? Now, I'm Dr. Sidharth Ramesh. I'm a doctor by training. I went into health IT and I've been here for more than 8 years now. So this YouTube channel is all about health IT tips and tricks. So if you want to know more, then just click subscribe and follow me. Now, MDM may also be called MPI or Master Patient Index in a few settings, and it may also be called EMPI, which is just like a fancier way of saying MPI, but Enterprise Master Patient Index. So usually these enterprise solutions come with a hefty dollar tag, and these MPI solutions are a little bit cheaper. That's pretty much the difference. Now, let's talk about what kinds of techniques we can use to actually do master data management and how do we actually link these two records, right? So the first way is, again, it's deterministic, right? Like, so you come up with some rules. So what you can say is, for example, I have looked at both of these records. I see that, okay, the name sort of sounds similar. It is in a certain distance from one another. And there are different similarity categories that you can use. There is like how the name sounds or how many edits you need before you get to the other name, right? Like these are like edit distances. Then maybe you can look at the gender. You can say like, okay, if they're the same gender, and the age also, okay, like if they're within 2 years of difference, then you consider them a potential match, and then you show them to a human, and then they have to review that. So that's what libraries like the HAPI FHIR Master Data Management module does, where you're able to list out a bunch of different rules. So you have MDM types and like what resources this applies for, and then you can sort of come here and then you can start to tell, okay, like I want to match these fields, like I want to match the birthday. I want to make sure that you use string matching for this. I want to check the telecom, see if they are the same, and I want to use string matching as well. And here the name, they want to use Metaphone. So again, like Metaphone is how similar they sound. There are also like more sophisticated matching techniques like Jaro-Winkler, which again is just an algorithm that tries to match how similar two names sound, right? So after all of this, you basically arrive at, okay, like these two records sort of have this sort of a match probability because all of these rules match, right? Like, so there will be a scoring that has been done across all of these different rules. And you'll say like, okay, this basically matches 5 out of 10 rules. So maybe probably they're a match. And then you take it to the next step. Maybe you have a human in the loop who's verifying all this. And then they say, okay, like this is actually the same record or not. Now, this is one way to do it, which is like deterministic matching, right? Like you can also write this in your own program. You can have code that looks for these patterns and then it does all of this. It's not that hard to do. You could just write a piece of software that automatically does all of this. Now, the next and more interesting method is actually called probabilistic matching. This is interesting to me for multiple reasons. So one is deterministic is always like, you come up with this in advance and then you think you know the best and you're like, okay, like this is how I do things. Probabilistic actually looks at your entire data set and then determines what the best way to link these records are. So I'll give you an example of a library like Splink does probabilistic data matching, and it actually uses this fancy algorithm called Fellegi-Sunter model. It's like fancy to say, but it basically calculates a few probabilities, right? It asks things like, okay, let's look at our data set. And given that these two records, and again, this is like a scoring system that will be like deterministic, what a probabilistic model does is it actually goes in and starts looking at, okay, let's actually look at male and male of both of these records. What is the probability that these two are actually the same patient given that they have a same gender, right? So there is either male or female. So in this case, the probability that two patients are actually the same record given that their gender is the same is actually not that high. Like there are other males in the records, there are like so many others. So this probability is like quite low. Whereas if you also look at like what are the possible values of this particular thing, it can either be male or female. So it's like 50%, right? So it basically uses some of these statistics. It looks at the whole data set and then it calculates these statistics. So for example, here it says, for example, consider the M probability of a match on date of birth. For two records that are a match, what is the probability that date of birth is the same? Almost 100% say, for example, 98%. And if there is like a data error, there's like a 2% chance of data error, right? So they have these two probabilities, M probability and U probability, that what is the probability that given these two rows match, that these records are a match, and what is the probability that these two rows match, that the records are not a match. So you again, like you calculate both of this, you subtract one from another, and then you arrive at this score, right? Like you arrive at a score that tells you, okay, like are these actually matches or not? Now, if I look at an example that Splink has given, they actually have this big data set where again, like they have 50,000 records, right? Like Splink is again a library by the UK Justice Department, and they have a lot of, record matching to do. So they had to come up with something that works at scale. So here, let's take a look at this, right? Like you have Thomas, you have different date of births, Devon, but these seem like similar records, but we actually don't know. So what Splink does, and again, like what other probabilistic data models will probably do, is first they'll start to profile the columns. Okay, so they'll look at all of the possible distribution across these different data sets. So they'll look at, okay, so the name William occurs more than 2,500 times. The name John occurs more than 2,500 times. So even if two people are called John, the probability of them actually being the same person, not that much, like, so it calculates all of these statistics across the data set first, and then it tells you, okay, like these are all the values, these are all the percentiles of these values, and then it knows all of this. So it remembers this and it like keeps track of, okay, these are the statistics in our data set. Now then what it does is it does this thing called blocking, where it starts to compare different rows against each other. So now again, in my example, I just have two rows, so it doesn't really matter. Like you can just literally compare this very easily, very fast. But if you have 500,000 patients, now you not only have to compare like this and this, you have to compare each row against every other row, and that is super expensive, right? Like, so if you have 500 or like 50,000 rows, the first row has to be compared against the 49,000. The second row has to be compared against like 49,000 and so on. That becomes computationally expensive. So what they do is they have these things called blocking rules, where they say, okay, you don't need to compare everything. You just need to compare things once you hit this particular condition, right? So the first thing that they say is, okay, like look at the first three characters of first name. So this is a substring operation on the first name, and look at the the first four characters of the other thing. So if these things are sort of the same, then compare it, right? And then again, they have two things here, because even if one of them fails, then the other one basically like compensates for it. So for example, they look at surname, and if the surname is the same, yeah, sure, compare them both. But if the surname is not the same, then just fall back on date of birth. And if date of birth is the same, then compare them. So only if both the surname and the date of birth are not the same, this will move on to the next block. And you can look at each block and see like how many duplicates is each block catching. So here, for example, the first block, which is just look at the two first names and like a substring of the first names, it already caught like 300,000 records, right? And then all of these other blocks come in, and then they catch more blocks, and they again compare more records. Now again, the way they do the calculation here is, again, it's based on these probabilities. So they will look at all of the values in the row. They'll look at the statistics in the database, and then they will give you a score. Then the score can actually be negative as well, but usually like it's a probability score that given all of this data, what is the probability that these two people are actually the same people? And it'll probably be like, okay, these two people are super similar, it's 80%, and these two are not that similar at all, so it's like probably 0.01%. And you can set a threshold here. Like you can set, for example, anything above 80% I want to automatically classify as a match, and anything in this mid zone I want it reviewed by a human, and I want someone actually looking at these records. And anyone below 20%, for example, consider them two separate records. Okay, so there is it's a bunch more techniques, and there's a lot of things here, but again, it looks at all of this and then it compares, okay, like what was the different actual matches, what was the weight of this match, and there's like a bunch of other techniques. But the main takeaway here is that you calculate this from the data set, right? Like you learn all of this from the data set. And here, for example, you're seeing a match probability of like close to 99%, 1%, and so on. But these are basically the same records. And with a high likelihood, you know that these are the same records. So they also have this other cool thing where they are able to cluster different records. So for example, the model and the statistical model can only act on two records at a time. So two records, for example, you might have record A and B. Now A and B might have like a 99% match, and then A and C might have like a 99.6% match, but then this and this might have another match, and this might have another match. Now, do you classify all of these records as one, or do you break it off at certain point? And that's where these clustering algorithms come in. So again, like you can set a threshold. So in this case, if you set like anything above 95% accuracy is a single record, then it will basically cluster all of these records into one thing. And if you say like, okay, I need more than 99%, then it will break this up into two records. Like this 96% here is not good enough for you to consider all of these as like one single record. So it's able to make these clusters, and then the clusters are then used to unify different records. Now, this is not only applicable to patients, like although mostly it's used by master patient indexes and enterprise master patient indexes, but master data management can be applied anywhere there is duplicate data. Like anywhere that you see this, again, it's very common if you're, for example, connecting to multiple FHIR servers and then like getting this data into a single place, you will have duplicates of a patient for sure. You'll have the same documents, you'll see the same CCDA-MS, so everything will be there in the same place. So you still need to do something like MDM on documents, on any other data points that are coming in. So if you're interested again in learning more about all of these techniques, then we do have a bunch of courses. We haven't put it out there publicly, so if you're interested, just contact me. I will leave a link down below where you can set up a call and just like talk to me, and let me know in the comments what you think. Like, have you dealt with MDM or like master patient index or EMPI enterprise level stuff? Have you bought this? What has your experience been? And yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.